Here we go. It's going.
Go ahead, Gary.
2 years ago, Bonnie invited me to go to Kathy's retreat, and it was such a profound experience, I think, for me and for us as friends.
Absolutely.
That we came back and talked to our other friends nonstop and decided that we all had to go together the following year.
And we did.
Somebody please.
And it was
We're good up to there. We can cut there. Don't worry about it.
But the two of them did just talk nonstop about the retreat. We went to yoga one night, and that's all Karen talked about was the retreat. She was so motivated. She felt like she just had to find her purpose, right? And then Bonnie was the same way. Bonnie was like, I just have to find why I'm here. So that is really what started us, I think, in wanting to go to the retreat. We wanted to get that same feeling and to see what we could, take from it.
I think for me, the interesting thing about Kathy's retreat was that you can buy DVDs and CDs and watch inspirational and motivational speakers all you want, but you're not participating. All you're doing is listening. And what Kathy made you do was participate. You had to become part of the group. You had to break out of where you were. You had to make yourself part of this retreat. And as frightening as it was, because I think, with the exception of Karen and Bonnie, who had been there, we were all terrified at first because you just expose yourself. And you expose yourself at whatever level you're comfortable with, but in the end, you've exposed yourself. And she's capable of doing that. So it was pretty profound.
And I think for Karen and I, we had attended together, which was just a wonderful, beautiful experience. And then to bring all of us together and watch, Karen and I had already experienced it, so we knew a little bit of what it was going to be about. But you go even to a deeper level the next time, I think. But we were just so excited and happy to watch all of you. And to be able to share that experience together. We would get together in the cottage at night and share stories and support each other. So
It's so true. I think we are all in different places, in different moments in our life, and we happen to live in a fairly superficial place, world, and to be able to kind of get under all of that and to really connect on a very intimate level. I think it's just made our friendships all so much stronger.
Right. And that's one thing I thought was interesting is that we're all really new friends except for Jeannie and Nancy. And I just felt like for us to share some of the thoughts and the emotions that we had, I thought it was pretty special.
And I think that we can not see each other for a month or 2 months, because I see you all probably the least. And the minute we're together, it's like we saw each other yesterday, and I attribute that to the retreat and to Kathy, because she brings out who you are, and you can't help but let that translate to your friends.
right.
And well, you know each other on a deeper level.
Right.
Right. And know yourself on a deeper level, too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was better than Deepak and Oprah.
But
Would you say that again?
never did you feel put on the spot. I mean, you did what you were most comfortable with in that moment, so there was never a point where you felt like you couldn't just say, I'll pass, if you weren't ready to explore or answer a question, or,
Right.
yeah,
And you were supported by a community of women.
exactly. That all understood, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
That we didn't know. We knew each other, but there were 25 other women in the room that we didn't.
And that was pretty powerful the first night, to
Yes.
sit
Wow.
and to hear everyone's story in a circle.
And everybody had a story.
And everybody
Yeah.
had a story,
Right,
and that was so
right.
powerful.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
it
a
really was.
testimony to Kathy.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
creating that safe space for women to be able to share their story and to support each other and know that they're not alone in their journey.
And that everybody has a story.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing was when people started getting up, because I was one of the last ones to share, but when a lot of people were getting up and telling their stories, I'm sitting there saying, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit here, I'm not going to say anything. But by the time it really got going, as far as it did, I was like, I do have something to say. You know,
I do have a
so
story.
And you feel safe enough to say it.
that's right. And by then you hear everybody else's emotional stories, so you're like, they can do this. And it was really kind of freeing.
But I think I've been to probably every, hundreds of motivational speakers and lectures. And the thing that felt very different to me in Kathy's retreat is that she's so authentic. You know, her spirit is you feel it immediately. And it was just really a profound experience for me.
Her work comes from the heart. It's very evident.
Absolutely.
It's just a very loving place to be. And I'm so happy that we were able to share the experience together.
Right.
Could I ask why it's important to share your story?
I think it's important to share it, to hear it yourself first, for me anyway, to really hear yourself speak and tell your story. And then you know you're supported by others, and you begin to realize as everyone tells their stories, there's common themes, that you're really not alone.
Very important. And I think I alluded to, you can listen to speakers and you can listen to information about where you should be in your life and what you should be doing, or this method might work for you, but you're never putting yourself out there. And you're not ever opening up to anybody, and you're not sharing because you're just doing this by yourself. You're trying to self-motivate yourself.
All
and
in your
it
head.
doesn't work. Yeah, it's
Right,
all in
it's
your
all in your
head.
head.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Kathy was able to she just brought us out. That's incredible. And I've seen Kathy socially a couple of times since, and she always remembers something about you. And usually she remembers lots of things about you. But I don't know how she
In a
does
good
it.
way.
That is very true. But she's
I don't know how she
capable
does it.
of maintaining these levels of friendship where she has gotten so into you that it just becomes part of her. Yeah. She's like superwoman.
Superpowers.
Yeah.
May I ask a question? I would like to know, and I think the people that may be thinking about coming to the retreat want to know, what am I going to get out of it when I go home? How is this going to, for me to spend the time and the money and the energy to do this, and the bravery? It takes courage to do this. Then what am I going to get out of it when I leave? What's it going to be worth to me?
I think it's going to be so much more than you will even expect. I know for myself, it was much more than I envisioned. And I left there with more open-hearted and more open-minded about the possibilities in life. Things that I hadn't really thought about. I am still learning about myself much more, but in rediscovering who I am, who I really am, as Kathy says. And I think it's hard to describe I think everyone gets something different out of it. It depends where you are when you come. But guaranteed, you will be in a different place when you leave. Absolutely.
Well, and I think too, it gives you whatever is in that core part of your being that really comes out in the retreat. It did for me. There were some things that came up that I had not thought about in many, many years. And I think it just kind of gave me some clarity, as to why certain things happen. Because I'm one of those people that I stuff things in. And when you have the chance, the opportunity to really bring it to the surface in your own mind, I think it's very healing. And it was for me.
I think for me, although perhaps I haven't outwardly manifest the reason or the core reason for my being there, it really helped me to understand what I really, really wanted was not something. And to be able to know, to really get in touch with what I need and what I want, it's a process, not an event, but I feel like I'm on the path, albeit slowly, to getting there, to letting go of perhaps a career of 30 years that I've been unhappy in, and to opening myself up to the next chapter of my life. And it's also given me compassion for other people, because we are such a surface society and we judge people based on how they look. And to hear other women share who they are, I now can have some compassion for who that person is underneath and not make surface judgments so quickly. So.
And Jeannie, what was the retreat like for you?
Well, I pulled out my notebook from the retreat this morning and was looking back on it, and I was reminded of some of the exercises that we did. And the one that I particularly was struck by was the I am. And there were many aspects of myself that I hadn't really taken the time to appreciate, I guess. And it made me, when I look back on those things that I had written, it made me feel more authentic, because when I was able to identify that I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm funny, I'm courageous, and I had an opportunity to sit with those things at the retreat, it just was a time to look back and reflect and feel more of who I am. Because in coming to the retreat, I think for me, I was I was sort of on a path to figure out, who am I? Besides the mother that I was, and the wife that I was, and the things that I did, who was I? Because I was asking myself at that time. So it gave me a chance, these exercises did, to actually list them and say, I am all these things. And my gosh, I never really thought about it. And that made me feel good.
And you find if you are having a day where things are just kind of out of kilter, I've gone back to the book too. I'll go back to the worksheets and go, okay, especially the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially the
The
circle.
wheel of life.
So the
Yeah.
wheel of life.
Yes.
And you can go back and see where you were on that day when you colored in those lines, and try to imagine what you've done differently that made it better, or maybe sometimes have made things a little bit worse because you weren't reacting to what you should have been reacting to. And the thing that came out of the retreat was trying to learn to do things better. And if you ultimately can do things better for yourself, you're going to do things better for everyone around you. And that's one of the larger things I got from it. That the better person you are, the better able you are to help other people. And even if it's not help other people, be a better friend. Just be a better person.
Just be in the world.
Be in the world.
That's right. Take responsibility for ourselves. Yeah.
Enough group?
What a fabulous group.
No, don't you want to cry?